Welcome back. All right, so we're going to talk about the Ottawa Senators now. They are currently 23, 23, and 3. That is a record that is not good enough, right? This was a team that before the season started, we heard was done with the rebuild. It's done. And so their status to me is still rebuilding with a question mark because they're supposed to be done the rebuild. They've got lots of good young forwards, good young defense. Their goaltending has been adequate. It's been good enough on some nights, not good enough on others. But I think the youth is part of it. I think there's still something missing, and it is on Pierre Dorian to try to figure out what exactly that is. The power rankings as high as 14th for them this season. They've been as low as 31st. They are currently 25th on the power rankings. Their playoff odds, not great. 12.1% chance they make the playoffs. I would be very surprised if they made the playoffs, but I want to be pleasantly surprised. This is a team that I would like to see return to the playoffs. And not only that, but with all the young players they have, it'd be a lot of fun to watch in a playoff series. So 10 games into the season, they were 4 and 6. 20 games into the season, they were 7, 12 and 1. And with Ottawa, the slow starts have been a problem for them for years now. Through 30 games, 14, 14 and 2. Through 40 games, 18, 19 and 2. They've had a problem with getting above and staying above 500. Now they've gotten back to 500. They have been 5 and 4 since the 40 game mark, but they definitely need some more work. Now this is being recorded before the January 31st game between them and Montreal. So they will have played an even 50 games at the break, but I don't think that's going to change their status a whole lot. And again, it's the are they still rebuilding? Where are they at? How far can this go before major changes are made? And I think with the sale of the team, new owners might step in and say, hey, things need to change. But that's a ways off. At least it could be a ways off. Maybe that happens while I'm not here. So Tkachuk, to me, is their MVP. I think Brady Tkachuk has been their most valuable player. He is their captain. He has become a star. Again, a lot of the attention goes to his brother Matthew, rightfully so. But I think Brady Tkachuk is at least as good as his brother. I do. I think that he's got that amount of ability and talent. One thing that Matthew Tkachuk had to learn along the way was to kind of control some of the emotional side of it. And it's something that, with Brady, he's definitely an emotional player as well. But when you look at how their dad played, he was an emotional player too. Keith Tkachuk was definitely one who wore his heart on his sleeve when he played. Made him very popular with the teams he cheered for. Made him not as popular with teams he played for. Made him maybe not as popular with teams that were against him and fans as well. So their top scorer is Brady Tkachuk, 19 goals, 30 assists for 49 points. Giroux's right there with him. Giroux seems to have been rejuvenated since arriving in Ottawa. 19 goals, 28 assists, 47 points. Really strong run for him. Stützle, 20 goals, 25 assists, 45 points. He is the star they're building around. I think he might be the most marketable player, even above Tkachuk. And so for Stützle, he's had some issues here and there when it comes to the consistency, but he's going to be just fine. Batherson, 15 goals, 27 assists, 42 points. And DeBrincat, who I think they wanted more from, 16 goals, 24 assists, 40 points. And I remember saying during the summer, I don't know that I could see DeBrincat getting 40 goals with this team. Did I hedge? Absolutely. But yeah, he's going to end up around the 30 goal mark. But with the expectations as they are, it's going to end up being seen as kind of a disappointment. So if he ends up with 25 plus goals, I think that's a solid season. But if you're expecting 40, that's where there could be a problem. Plus, he's a restricted free agent this summer. So there's talk of whether or not he gets moved, of whether or not Ottawa's willing to pay him what he's going to think he's worth. And then in net, you have Talbot and Forsberg. And Talbot and Forsberg, plenty of reason to discuss their goaltending. Talbot's been kind of up and down. He's on an expiring contract, so we'll see if they keep him around. Forsberg, I still think, has been one of the more under the radar good goaltenders for now. It's been a year and a half. He's been good, and so I think Forsberg's earned the right to stick around as part of that tandem. But there's some discussion about whether or not they bring back Talbot and Forsberg. And then the question becomes, okay, so if you're thinking the goaltending is good enough, then the improvement has to become defense, or is it just the overall maturation of these young players? That can be a factor that makes a difference as well. That's part of what's happened with New Jersey. Staying healthy's helped New Jersey, but the maturation of guys like Hischier and Hughes has made a big difference. Can Ottawa have that as well with guys like Stützle, with Tkachuk, with other players on this team like Sanderson? Jake Sanderson's played really well this year. So while their overall record hasn't been great, it hasn't all been bad news for Ottawa. Another pending UFAs, you got Austin Watson, who I think's played well in Ottawa. I'd be kind of surprised if you let him go. Tyler Mott, of course, currently injured. At least he's been injured, and that's with the style of hockey he plays. That's always going to be a risk. Broussard has been solid for them in various roles this year. He's jumped up the lineup where he's needed to due to injury. Hamonic, I think, has been a good top four defenseman for him. And again, they're going to have to make changes if they're going to improve. And it might be guys who are on expiring contracts who end up being let go in order to find replacements. And Nick Holden. 5'6" defenseman. And we'll see how many of these guys are still here after the deadline. If they're nowhere near the playoffs, I would think at least a couple would probably be made available as rentals. But don't be surprised if Ottawa's bringing guys in and trying to make changes to show, hey, we're still believing in what we're doing here. And then Talbot. Do you bring Talbot back? If so, for how many years and for how much? Talbot showed in Minnesota that he knows what he wants. When it was obvious he wasn't the guy in Minnesota, he wanted out. And so he got to Ottawa. Does he stay in Ottawa? That's the question. And let me know your thoughts if you're an Ottawa fan on how to fix this, or do you just keep letting it run its course? Let me know your thoughts. Hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. And hey, thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.